this. And and then we vote on social media. And this poster won this year. So when you sign up, which we're going to do today, you receive 10 free posters. You can order more if you'd like, but automatically when you sign up, you get this poster. And I think I want to say they were from the Houston area. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a young person who participates in an out of school time program. So we're going to move on. Welcome, everyone. So we're excited you're here. We're going to learn how to organize an event, engage your community, use this platform to showcase all the wonderful things you're doing and shine your light. The one element I really want to focus on, and we'll have it be like a little call and response, is how are we centering youth in everything we do for Lights On? After School Alliance does a wonderful job, and Celebrate Grow Action for them, I think they can do an even better job of centering young people and making that explicit. So today, when we go through all of their tools, which are just absolutely wonderful, we're going to do a call and response, which is when I say, how can we, well, somebody's going to yell out or put in the chat, center young people as our mantra. So we'll do a welcome, a land acknowledgement. October 24th, Lights On After School. We'll run our way through all the wonderful tools, then we'll reflect, and we will get you out of here at 11:30. Okay. MASP is being much more intentional on its equity and anti-racism journey. So we are borrowing land acknowledgements from other organizations. So we want to respectfully acknowledge our current experiences in two pandemics and that the land we occupied has been stewarded by people throughout the generations. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Odawa Nation. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events. So, welcome again, everyone. Welcome to the folks who have just joined. Welcome to everyone who is here. So, in the chat, if you wouldn't mind identifying yourself as a Lights On newbie or a veteran to Lights On After School. So, in the chat, we've got a newbie, a veteran. Newbies. We've got a nice blend. I love it. Newbie, veteran, another newbie. Yay. Okay, so we have a nice blend. Few more newbies, if we're counting, and some veterans. So we appreciate all of you being here today. It's a nice blend, nice learning community. Yeah, Sonia said I've got 20 years, at least 20 years, 10 years with Lights On with Kalamazoo Youth Development Network. I have to disclose, I love Lights On. I love, love, love it. And National Day of Celebration. we have had just some momentous celebrations with Lights On After School. So what we'll do today, we're going to run through again all the wonderful tools that After School Alliance has. I mean, it's just shabama-lama. So we'll go through that, and then I'll throw in my lived experience and like how can we like grow and expand the tools that they have, and then how can you can contextualize it. Okay, so what is Lights On After School? Again, there's our poster. This comes from the After School Alliance. It started in 2000, so we're celebrating our 24th annual, and it is the only nationwide event that celebrates literally keeping the lights on after school. Some folks, because we're uh, after school, and some people will call it lights off. I don't know why, but it's literally advocating to keep the lights on, right? Like the lights don't turn off when the school day ends and young folks leave school. And so it's a celebration, very much so. It's your time to shine. There will be thousands and thousands of communities that are celebrating on the 24th. Some do it different days that week, but mainly on that Thursday, the 24th. We'll talk later. You can select any day that week. It doesn't have to be that Thursday if it doesn't work out for you. But again, it's a celebration. It's an intentional event to really highlight what you're doing, showcase what you're doing, create a platform for young people to have voice, and to showcase what they're doing along with adults as well. So we started with the what. Now we're moving on to the why. So why do we care about Lights On? Why do we choose to participate? People laugh at me when I do this, but I do the noun and the verb for advocate because it is both. We learn the verb, what it means to advocate, because it's an action we take. And being an advocate is an identity that we can claim. And so when we think about Lights On, it is embracing both the action of advocacy for your program, for young people, for your community, for the power of what we do in youth development and after school. And it is about identifying as an advocate. You all are advocates. We're all youth development advocates, all of us, all of us. And young people are advocates as well. We talk about identity, belonging, and agency. Agency is about having influence. Agency and advocacy, they go hand in hand, right? And if we're talking about what identities do I claim one as an advocate? I hope so. I really do. I hope that you claim that you are an advocate for what you do. And this really is an opportunity for you to lean into the verb and the noun, as I say, of advocacy and being an advocate, and to center young people and the adults in your program to tell your stories, engage with the community, and celebrate. We're so busy doing sometimes, it's hard for us to step back and tell our story and carve out time. One of the beauties of Lights On is that you can plan Lights On during your program. You don't need additional time. You might need a couple hours with some adults. But the beauty of it, if you choose, is you can plan this with young people during the program. Make it a club, make it a series of lessons, right? And so it doesn't have to be an add on for youth development advocates or for young people. And that's one of the things I really like about it. It can also be a starting point or a continuation on transformational journeys with your partners. If you've been wondering how to reach out to partners, elected officials, whoever it may be, this is an opportunity to reach out in an intentional way and start to build transformational partnerships, or to continue a partnership with an organization or another sector. And ultimately, it's our time to shine, y'all. This is our time. Like, this is our time. Let's get greedy. It's okay to get a little greedy and carve out and say, this is us, right? And to celebrate all the wonderful things you're doing. Okay, so we are going to start planning in 3 easy steps. Uh, Step one, you are going to register your event if you have not already registered. So we hope we're going to give you time. So Larry's going to click on this link and you can go to the afterschoolalliance.org and go to Lights On and then go to register. So we're going to give you a minute to get to this page. So it's afterschoolalliance.org. Thank you, Sonia. Find the Lights On. Yep, it's in there. And go to the registration page. We would like you to complete this registration page now. So it's one less thing you have to do when you leave this webinar. And this really unlocks the treasure chest that exists at After School Alliance. And when I say treasure chest, I mean it. I can't say it, but I mean it. We're going to walk through their tools. They have every single template you need. And so please take a minute and create your account. If a couple of people could put in the chat that they've done this, that would help for time. Register. All right, Leah. Thank you. Bryn, done? All ready? All right. We've got some prepared people. I love it. Come on now. That's us. That's us in the OST. We stay ready. All right. So we're going to move on. If you have not registered, please, that is the first step. Okay. So after you've registered, you should start receiving emails. You should have gotten your posters in the mail by now. You should be getting weekly emails from the After School Alliance with all their handy dandy timelines and materials. So if you have not, check in with them. So step 2, we are going to plan our event. The first thing is to think of are we a party of one or a party of more than one? If it is just your organization or your program, that's perfectly fine. You can also do community-wide events. You can do neighborhood or like block events. You can do community-wide events. Most of the steps are the same. And so we're going to start with those common steps, and then we'll go into things to think about if you're hosting a community-wide event or if you're collaborating in a neighborhood with multiple organizations. So, as we said, the After School Alliance and MASP has basically all the tools you'll need. So we are going to go back to the After School Alliance website and go to their checklist, the link that was in the PowerPoint. So this is their planning timeline. It is broken into, yay, your birthday week. Celebrate. It is broken into 4 main categories. And before we get started with those categories, I want us to really lean in and embrace the wording that's in that yellow in the planning, the timeline. This can be as time intensive or not time intensive as you want it to be. We want to give you a set of tools, and we don't want to overwhelm you or have you walk out if you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's September 9th, Lights On is October 24th, I've missed the boat. No, you haven't. And so really lean into what they're saying here is that it doesn't take months and months in advance to plan a really engaging, fun Lights On After School event. Okay, so if we could scroll down just a tad. As I was saying, they have this timeline broken into the first chunk is 6 to 8 weeks before your event, which is basically where we are now. And within each one of these time periods, they have four main categories. They have logistics and planning, media and promotion, invitations, and materials. I would really like us to lean into at the beginning this logistics piece and talk about our lived experience along with what the After School Alliance is talking about. And what's our mantra? What are we going to ask ourselves with everything we're doing? Can you put it in the chat? How are we? Yay! Yes, centering young people. Yes. So, and it should hopefully start from the beginning, right? So the planning phase. So they have all these little bullets for logistics, and the last one is they have form your event team. I would bump that up to number one. Like who needs to be at the table, right? We talk about having a voice at the decision-making table, voice and choice. So do you want, I encourage you to have youth development advocates, folks who are working directly with young people. Do you want some caregivers? Do you want some community members and youth, right? That's up to you who's at the decision-making table. But that to me is your first decision. Like, who do we need to get around the table for this planning group? And if you have the opportunity, start now. If you have a budget in mind, share that. You can use this as a fundraising event. That's what Kid Network does. We seek sponsors for the event. We set a net revenue goal for Lights On and National Day of Summer Learning. And so this can be a way to raise money for your program as well. So if that's the case, make sure your budget reflects that it's going to cost you $1,000 and your goal is to raise $10,000. So you net $9,000. Figure out your timeline. When exactly are you going to have it? Like any permits or anything you might need. And if you are going to partner, if this is going to be more than one organization, obviously reach out, invite them to the planning group. And because it is a little more.
You will have to reach out to Tina.
What was that? Okay, we're good. Okay, so if you are thinking like we want it to be a neighborhood, a community wide, whatever that community geography looks like to you, that's a decision you should make at the beginning as well. Like with Kid Network, we used to take like 600 young people to downtown Kalamazoo and then disperse and do other things. Yeah. And then the logistics of that got to be so much that we backed off, and we have 3 neighborhood hubs in Kalamazoo and then 1 event in Battle Creek. And so you can imagine you've got to start planning the logistics of that, like who's going to step up and be the lead organization to like physically host it. How are you going to get young people there? And we'll talk a little more about that later. And set a goal and a theme. With that planning group, one of their first decisions should be, are we going to have a theme like literacy, youth expression through the arts, youth voice, youth leadership, whatever that theme might be. And that's why it's so vitally important to include young people, because they should have a voice, right? And what do they really want to communicate, and what's going to be like the overall theme of their communication. Yes, they're advocating for out of school time programming, but there might be a community issue in Kalamazoo, really focusing on community violence and gun violence. Maybe they want to take this as an opportunity to say what they're doing in out of school time to address that. Maybe it's a health need. Maybe it's transportation or STEM education, right? So pick a theme that will help form and inform the decisions that you make moving forward. Uh, if you're going to have vendors or staff involved, figure that out. Have a work plan. Kid Network has a really detailed work plan that I don't think they'd mind sharing. Bryn, I'm going to volunteer Kid Network if anyone wants to see a actual. Thank you, Bryn. Lights on work plan. We I was going to say we're plantastic at Kid Network. MASP is getting to be plantastic. And so they can share that with you if you're interested. Uh, Also, think about 6 to 10 weeks out this media and promotion. Compile a list of local media. If you need help from that, with that, you can reach out to MASP. If you have a newsletter, start putting this in your newsletter articles now. Get the date out there as soon as you have a theme. Start getting that out there. You can create public service announcements. The local media eat this up. Like they are always looking for celebratory, joyful stories. Local radio and local TV stations, I guarantee you, they'll pick it up. If you don't have a relationship with them, this is a wonderful opportunity to build that relationship. Yeah, this is what they're looking for, y'all. Young people out there celebrating, marching, advocating, doing science experiments, poetry. They'll be there. And once you get them there, they're going to reach out and ask every year, hey, when is Lights On coming on? And then you can get them for National Day of Summer Learning as well. And so think about with these PSAs, can young people do the PSAs? Can they start to think about a video? With your pitch letter, the After School Alliance has a pitch letter. Have young people make it their own, right? So with all of these tools and templates, they're incredibly useful. Contextualize them to your community and to your program, and provide an opportunity for young people to learn what a pitch letter is, right? Maybe you have some budding elected officials or budding marketing folks. They should learn what all of this is. Again, create your invitations, policymakers, whoever else you would like to be there, community members, families, caregivers. You can also request a proclamation. After School Alliance has all the templates you need. You just personalize it to your community. If there's language that After School Alliance uses that doesn't, it doesn't, I don't want to say fit because we don't say fit. It doesn't reflect your community. You can change those templates. You have all the agency to contextualize those proclamations. Reach out to your elected officials, the city government, county government, school district superintendents, and then your state house and senators, and then your national reps as well. It's an election year. And when you let them know this is an opportunity to speak in front of the community and advocate for young people, they'll be there. And then it's a chance not only for them to speak, but for young people to speak to them as well. Young people can present them with their letters of support, their light bulbs, all that sort of thing. So it doesn't have to be just a one way where elected officials are coming to speak to them. Set it up so that it's a true, authentic two-way communication with young people and the elected officials. So scrolling down, you can create a program fact sheet with your group, and again, have young people be a part of that. So now we're moving 3 to 5 weeks ahead of your event. And again, it's these same categories. Logistics, if you're having vendors, reconfirm with them. If you are having transportation, and not just for dignitaries and guest speakers, but if you are transporting young people, I recommend the earlier the better that you figure that out, because it can be quite a challenge depending on how many young people you're transporting. Early on, like I said, we would bus 600 young people after school to downtown Kalamazoo. And with school schedules, getting them back and forth to programs, it was quite a logistical feat to be able to pull that off. So again, this is like heavily, in my opinion, it's really focused on like when they say dignitaries and guest speakers, but it's if you're transporting young people, that's what you need to figure out. Uh, have young people make signs and posters. If you scroll down just a little more, on the right hand side, you can see those light bulbs. You can get those off the website from After School Alliance, and you can distribute those to local businesses, to local organizations. That can be a way that you raise money. We did that one year. You can ask businesses if they put that out on their counter, and you know how you can say, for if you round up, and then they can put their name on the light bulb, and then you can ask and even provide the business with a display for those light bulbs. You all have seen different organizations do that. So that's a way of again, creating some partnerships with local businesses, local organizations. You can raise money. It might not be a lot of money, and you're creating awareness, right? And folks always ask, "Oh, what are these light bulbs?" Especially once they start to get set up in a business, and in a community. And so that's a way that you can engage young people. You can start doing that, in the program early. It's a outreach strategy and a community awareness building strategy. Uh, let's see here. When you're thinking about like invitations and engaging with folks, and speakers, think about alumni of your program. Are there young people who are in the community who would love to come and speak, even be on that planning committee? This is a nice way of building their leadership and keeping in touch with them. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be a local elected official, or a funder. Think about other folks you'd like to engage. And I encourage you to have young people speak to the media as well and participate on those radio interviews. They can also make videos. If you have like a local public media network in your area, Kalamazoo has a public media network. They will train young people and they will loan or lend really nice video, equipment for young people to film at Lights On and create the video. So again, you're creating a partnership, you're centering young people are gaining skills in videography. There might even be a program in your community that can do this, and so you can partner with them as a vendor. But again, any opportunity where you're going to reach out and pay an adult to do something, what are you going to ask yourself? Yes. Is it youth centered? Can I hire a young person? Can I pay a young person? Are there young folk who are going into catering, or 18 to 25-year-olds who have a catering business, who have a t-shirt printing company, who are into videography or photography? Let's prioritize, involving them. And if it's something you're going to pay for, center paying young people, right? Engage with them and center them in everything you're doing. Again, with the media and promotion, After School Alliance has all the templates, like the news releases, the media alerts, letters to the editors. When you're creating those, again, have young people engage with that. You'll have invitations that young people can create that are localized and contextualized to your program. And then when you scroll down, they've got all the materials that you'll need: the light bulb art, the fact sheets. Again, one of the things we want to make sure we talk about are the proclamations. There's a draft proclamation. You can change that language, send it out to mayors, county folks, school superintendents, state and national elected officials. They will sign it, and then invite them to come and read the proclamation the day of the event. Okay. So I think we are ready to move on to the different ideas. So Larry, if you go to the right-hand side, you can stay on this page. Thank you, Bryn. And if you go to search or our event ideas and themes, Larry. So we're still on the After School Alliance website. If you are wondering, like, what's an idea? What's a theme? If you click on youth voice and leadership, you can see the different ideas that After School Alliance has to get you started. They have a video, they have a project tip sheet, and they have different examples of youth leadership ideas. Again, if you're working particularly with middle school and high school youth, this might be a nice avenue for you. Sometimes they can be like, ugh, I don't want to engage with this. And our lived experience is that this is what really has engaged them. You've got time now during program to sit down and say to them, what are some issues in your community you would like to raise awareness about and start to address? And so tee up those conversations during the program, and then use Lights On and these project templates to help your staff guide young people through creating an awareness campaign around a community issue. And then that can be something that your staff, your team continues to support young people in addressing. So again, Lights On can be a program element, and it can be a sustainable program element for youth voice and youth engagement. So they have all sorts of ideas here. If we want to look at, Larry, if you could go back, light up your community. So again, because this is literally about keeping the lights on, there have been communities that have partnered with like downtown areas and gotten them to light up their buildings. It took us years. We wanted to light up Western Michigan University. Their football stadium is called Waldo Stadium. It took like 8 years. We're trying to figure out how to do this. It's always who you know. Then we connected with PNC Bank, and the woman who does their like community outreach, she's like, oh, I know who does that. So she called them during our Zoom meeting, and they lit up the stadium and the jumbotron that year. So again, it's always about being in community and being in relationship. If you don't have these relationships, this can be a way to build those. It's fun. Like some cities will light up parking meters. Blue is kind of the color for Lights On. You can, pick whatever you'd like, but there are big cities where their football and baseball stadiums light up at night. Some communities really do it upright. And so this is an opportunity for, you can have this as a community-wide event and then still do a program level with young people. So you can kind of mix and match these ideas. You can also scaffold into this. Like if this is too much this year, like it took us forever to do it, just put it in your plan for next year, right? Like put it in the parking lot for this year and say, look, we're going to use this as an opportunity to build relationships so we can literally light up our community next year. And we could go back. Also, Larry, if you could click on event ideas database. So there is an event database. If you scroll down, we have someone in the state that is listed, but there are all sorts of case studies and project details here for you to see. Again, when I say treasure chest, this is like they have done a very good job. Uh, there's all the information that you could use. You can see Eastern Michigan University Bright Futures program is listed. They had an open house, which is one thing we have not talked about. You can use Lights On as a community open house event and to engage families and caregivers as well. And so when you think about like, what is your goal for this event? If it is to leverage it as a family engagement activity, you've got folks who have done that to have an open house, have food. And so that is a very, it's an appropriate option and helps you really kind of kick off family engagement because it's still early on, right? It's still the fall. Okay. We are going to go back to the PowerPoint, I believe. MASP has a social media toolkit as well that Sonia is going to drop in the chat, I believe. And so when you think about social media and how you start to build awareness for Lights On, if you have sponsorships, Brand, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Kid Network has sponsorship forms they might be willing to share. You can use social media not only just for general social awareness, but to call out the opportunity to be a sponsor and what that means. If you're looking for vendors, you can use social media. And this toolkit has the countdown in it, like 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 2 weeks out. It's got sample posts. And so that's another very helpful toolkit from MASP. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me or Angelique. We'll share our email at the end of this presentation to walk you through different ideas or if you have any other questions. So now what we're going to do is move on. Now we're going to talk about planning a community-wide event. Same basic process as we've talked about. With that planning group, obviously identify your thank you, Bryn, your potential partners. Come together, talk about your goal, your theme, how you're going to collectively participate in Lights On. In this picture was from Kid Network. I think before the pandemic, we transported 600 young people to downtown Kalamazoo, spread them out, and went to 10 organizations, private sector companies, funders, the public library. There's a museum downtown, City Hall, and the Civic Theater. Their youth development advocates were with them from their program. They walked to these different organizations. The young people all had letters of why OST is important. They presented it to the folks at the organization that they visited. They sat down. Most of the organizations had refreshments for them, and they had a conversation around why is out of school time important. They went to City Hall and talked to the mayor. They went to the Kalamazoo Community Foundation and talked to the president of the foundation. They went to the Civic Theater And then they all walked back to KVCC, Kalamazoo Valley Community College, has a downtown location, and we had pizza for 1,600 or 600 young people. Then got them on buses and went back home. And then I went home and collapsed at about 8 o'clock at night. It went really well. And as you can imagine, it's a lot of logistical work that goes into it. But young people love like this. And when we walked from our main location to the organization and then back to downtown, we do a cheer. It's the adults say, what do we want? And young people yell after school. And then the adult says, when do we want it? And the young person yells now. And they've got their little posters and we're walking around downtown. And the year we did this little girl tugged on my sleeve and she goes, I feel like I'm marching in a protest. And I said, well, how do you feel about that? And she goes, I feel really good. I said, good, keep yelling and keep walking. Let's just keep this going. And so like, we're talking about social justice and getting our young folk ready to fight the good fight, get into good trouble. This is the beginning of it, right? And it's just so much fun for me anyway. I'm a yeller, so this meets my need to yell as well. All right, we're going to move on. A couple other examples of community-wide events. So again, this was that same event. That's the then Mayor Bobby Hopewell. We have Kid Network has since moved on to having hubs in neighborhoods in Kalamazoo. And so by geography, an organization will step up and say, look, I'm going to lead. And then the other organizations will go there. They'll select a theme, invite families, have dinners, march around the neighborhood, invite the media. When we've done this in the local neighborhoods, media, they don't want to leave and they have to like hurry up and pack up and get back to show it at the 6 o'clock news because they're having so much fun going around the neighborhoods with young people as they're marching and cheering and chanting, doing their performances, whatever that might be, African dance and drumming, ballet, performing. We have an young youth orchestra. And so the media, they love this. And yeah, it's just a great way to showcase what you're doing at the program level or at the community level with multiple organizations. So step 3 is celebrate. We're going to combine step 3 and what could be step 4. After your event, we encourage you to create like this little video and have young people do it. And this is what you can send out to elected officials, your funders, your sponsors, put it on your website as a recap of what you did in 2024 for Lights On. So it's a simple, doesn't have to be anything fancy. And this is one from a couple years ago. So again, nothing fancy. It captures the essence of the different uh, hub events, neighborhood events. You could have young people create this, send it out, thank your sponsors or whoever you'd like to thank, funders, sponsors, community members, and send it out to folks. Put it on your website, share it in your newsletter. It's a nice wrap up and a nice remembrance of the celebration. So just some helpful tips to recap. Start now. Convene your group. Think about who do you want at that decision-making table, including young people. Figure out if it's just going to be you. Are you going to engage some partners in the celebration? Get your plan together. Bryn shared a version of a plan. After School Alliance has a plan. I'm all about intentionality, not to be rigid, but to operate in excellence and to really be as impactful as we can. Again, engage and center young people. Use your resources, right? We advocate for young people to use their resources. You've got two friends. You can phone a friend, After School Alliance and MASP. So reach out. We are here to help you have fun with Lights On, and then follow up with your sponsors, elected officials. You can do thank yous with with all the photos on the front, and that's, you can just do that locally and send out thank yous along with that video. And most importantly, have fun. I mean, Lights On should just be this couple of weeks of joyful planning, and then the day of, although it can be, a little stressful planning it should just fill everyone's cup. Like your cup should run over with just joy and fun and laughter, and young people learning what it means again to advocate and to be an advocate. And those are life skills that we're trying to build in young people and adults. So you've got MASP resources, I hope. They are not showing up here for some reason. You can email me at meg@miafterschool.org, or Angelique Nichols, ANGELIQUE, at miafterschool.org. Sonia, I believe, will put that in the chat. Thank you very much, Sonia. And you can also visit the After School Alliance website. And if anyone is planning on attending the October 11th Leadership Summit in Mount Pleasant, we will have more information on Lights On and be able to address any questions that you have. Thank you. Awesome. All righty. It's 11:25, y'all. What questions do you have? All right, I'll ask another question. Uh, Thumbs up emoji. Do you feel like you have a first step that you know you can take? Or a yes in the chat. Do you feel like you're walking out here knowing? Yes, yes, trunk or treat and Lights On has definitely been combined. Battle Creek has done that for a few years, actually. That's awesome. You invited your library to provide materials. Yes. Last year, Battle Creek organizations met at Willard Library. Willard Library actually hosted it. They are right downtown in Battle Creek, and we transported all the young people in after school programs to Willard Library. And it was just this awesome literacy, really fun event. So thank you so much for reminding us what a huge asset the public libraries are. Trunk or treats, absolutely. You can combine that. Any other questions? All right, you all feel like you have a after school plan, a lights on plan? Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Leah. Reach out to us, share. We'd love to keep in touch. Thank you, Bran. Here's our end of session survey. Have a wonderful week. Thank you all.